add in it. Aren't you glad to be with us? We hope you are on this financial series tonight with Mr. Corey D. Moody. Before we begin, we love to hear from you. Please type in the chat different information. We would love for you to register. Go to the Renaissance Fellowship Facebook page and or Corey D. Moody's personal pages and register for the financial series. It's free. Ladies and gentlemen, it's free. Think about this. If you have to go to a CPA, they're going to charge you. They will invoice you. They will send you an invoice concerning their part of what they have to do. This information, biblical, Bible-based finances from the perspective of a great man, a good brother. And today is our Founders Day also for our great fraternity, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. But we just thank you for joining. We know most of you will join us later. But without further ado, I would like to present to all of us, to each of us, to everyone, Mr. Corey D. Moody, certified public accountant, certified valuation analyst.
Thank you, thank you. And it's always good to be here. Excuse me. I missed you guys last week, and I'm really missed not being here on Wednesday. But I was taking care of some business. And as we go forward today and for the next several weeks, and probably in the 2022, we're going to be dealing with a business principles, really running a business, starting a business. But what really makes a business successful? What I promise you, if you follow this series, if you're in business, you want to start a business, these foundational truths about business are going to give you a leg up and really catapult your business. So we're going to deal with some real principles as it relates to business. So as we go forward, I want to make sure that we start understanding what the word says. And, for this past, this series, or I don't know, maybe 20 weeks now, we've been doing this for a while, that one of the main themes that we've been talking about is valuation, really understanding us individually, how God sees us, what our value is to him, and a numerical value that's on each one of our lives. A lot of people don't like to hear that, but it's true. And we talked about it early on, so you need to kind of go back to some of the other episodes to really kind of see, where this is coming from, that I'm not just making this up. So for the next several weeks, we're really going to get into building a business, starting a business, or improving your business. And this is probably intermediate, advanced finance as it relates to business. We're going to be talking about core values. And for these last, again, 20 weeks, we've been talking about valuation. Now we're going to kind of shift it over to business. How does that relate? Because we got a lot of business people that are listening. So this is something, you heard Pastor Cheney say, this is something that we provide as a big part of our firm, this type of work or this type of enhancement we do to our clients. So if you stay on this, you will get a great benefit from this series, this business series we get ready to start. So, one of the things, with COVID and stuff, the world is changing. They came out with Bitcoin and all these other things. They're talking about, we've been hearing it. And as Christians, we always hear about one world order. They want one economy and all that stuff. And we've been hearing that for decades. And I don't know about you, but I don't know if you're feeling it for real now. Now it's not just a abstract that we hear from the pulpit or as Christians, la-di-da-di-da, it's magic and all this stuff. But also understanding that who our ancestors are, Abraham and Jacob, and, we all have a family tree. And so if we believe that the world is changing or things are coming to play, we got to be prepared. So I'm going to really hit some things over the next several weeks, and I'm going to kind of build just a little foundation on where we are and what's going on. And, one of the things, in business, we have to do forecasting, to see how well we're going to be doing the next year, next 5 years. When you go to a bank, they want forecasting, before they loan you money, they want to make sure that is this a good investment for them. So you got to understand when you go to a bank and you ask them for a loan, they're really becoming your partner. Now, they may not have no equity in your company, but they're not going to loan you any money if they don't believe this is a good deal for them also. And we're going to talk about equity. We talked a little bit about that early on when we talked about valuation and value and things. But now we really going to bring it to the business perspective. We're going to do some hard hitting stuff. And again, this is going to be some intermediate advanced stuff that we're going to kind of talk about, but it's going to be biblically based. So I just want to make sure that we stay on track. And these things are going to apply to your personal life. And, and maybe part of it, especially folks in, my family and stuff, you know, there's no difference between my business and my personal life. I don't have a big separation of who I am. I'm pretty consistent. And so you can apply these principles even to your life. So, I do want to kind of start with some scriptures. And this is Jeremiah. And we talked about prophets, being I mean prophets, PROPH, in the Bible. And we talked about forecasting in business. Well, just think if you had a prophet who can tell you, that you're going to be successful, your business is going on. So we're going to hit just a few things, and this is Jeremiah, and he has one of the longest books in the Bible, and this is a 40-year span. And a lot of people say, well, he changed. Well, yeah, over a 40-year period, just like in business, your cycle and things that you project, it changes. You evolve. Things happen, and it starts making sense. But I'm going to kind of hit a few things real quick. I knew that this was the word of the Lord. And this is, Jeremiah, and he was out there with his cousin, and here again, here's these shackles again. But there's some things I want to kind of talk about real quick. And I'm gonna start here at 10. It says, I signed and sealed the deed, had it witnessed and weighed out of the silver on the scale. So, nowadays, just like when you sign a document, sometimes you have to have it notarized. So you see, they were witnessing documents back then. Okay. So I took the deed of purchase, the sealed copy containing the terms and condition, as well as the unsealed copy. So you remember when we were talking about construction, having that contract and the scope of work and things like that. Well, these principles are the same in business. You have a contract, you got terms and conditions, and they're sealed and unsealed. So let me just explain a little bit of that, what that kind of means. And, so sometimes when you send documents in business, those documents are sealed, which means that they're not open. And if I was to deliver something, like when you order your transcript from your university or college, and they want to see, your transcript, well, they want what's called an official copy. And that official copy, when it gets to whoever is requesting it, it's sealed, which means no one has opened it and no one can make any changes. So that's when you see things sealed, and you're going to see a few more of this reference as we go through uh this evening. And so I kind of want to just kind of take you uh back to Jeremiah 32, but we just going down a little bit further on this scripture. This is what the Lord Almighty God of Israel says, take these documents, both the sealed and unsealed copies of the deed of purchase, and put them in a clay jar so they would last a long time. For this is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says: houses filled and vineyards will again be bought in this land. And after I have given the deed of purchase to Baruch, son of Nerah, I pray to the Lord. Oh, sovereign Lord, you have made the heavens and the earth by your great power. So again, we got these documents that we got to make sure we always kind of, we take care of. Documents are important. You hear people say, hey, your signature. One of the things, when you turn 18, and I had a son that just turned 18, and one of the talks I told him, I say, look, your signature now ties you to contracts. See, one of the reasons when you watch TV and you say you have to be at least 18 to order something, right? Because a minor cannot bind a contract. But once you become 18, your signature has power. And so you got to make sure that you understand what you're signing and why you're signing things. And so in business, you got to understand certain principles and you got to have certain things lined up so you don't put yourself out there and you find that you're behind the eight ball. So it's very important. And one of the things we always talk about, you know, as Christians is to have integrity and be fair. And now we're going to Hosea, who's a prophet also. So Jeremiah and Hosea are both are prophets. And you see, we're going to really talk about merchants and seals and business. And Hosea 12:7 says the merchant uses dishonest scales and loves to defraud. Ephraim boasts, I am very rich, I have become wealthy. With all my wealth, they will not find in me iniquity or sin. I have been the Lord your God ever since you came out of Egypt. I will make you live in tents again, as in the days of your appointed festivals. I spoke to the prophets, gave them many visions, and told parables through them. So, got to understand that in business, you may have analysts or people, your accountants that help you kind of forecast. And what you got to really be careful of people being dishonest. You know, people will sign a contract, and you got to remember, especially decades ago, and it still happens. People will take advantage of you. They will have you sign stuff that's not in your favor. And that's why you always want to make sure you have an attorney, on your team, an accountant, a banker. One of the things, we talk about in the construction industry is a slab. A slab is like the foundation. Well, it's also an acronym that we use. SLAB, you know, S for surety, which is insurance, L for lawyer, A for accountant, and B for banker. So that slab is your foundation. So in business, you want to make sure you got those four people on your team because it's very important that that happens. And so what's been going on? There's a big bill that's just signed, $1.3 trillion. There's a lot of stuff that's getting ready to happen. It's a lot of money is getting ready to get spent. And over my decades of being in business, being a CPA and a consultant, helping business people grow and become profitable, is what kind of thing stops us from growing and being better in what we need to do? What makes it happen? And these principles are important for us to understand that we got to have this baseline. So we got all this money getting ready to come out. And we're gonna have people complaining, I ain't get none. How come I can't get no work? Well, first of all, are you qualified? Are you ready to handle the work? Or are you really just still looking for a handout? And whether there are hurdles in front of us or not, you got to deal with it. You can't keep complaining. We complain about stores and things that are not in our neighborhood or it's only in this part of town or that part of town. Why won't they put us on the record or put them on the record, put her on the record? We always want to know why we can't. But what we're asking is, why won't you do this for me? I'm entitled. You owe me. Make your own way. Now, you've been hearing me talk about, some of us need to start our own business. Well, you've been hearing this for a while. Now we're getting ready to bring some substance to you starting your own business and what you need to do. Because there's some things that are coming down the road. But I want to hit a couple more things for you. And this is this is one of these books that people hate to go to, but I'm getting ready to go to Revelation. And this is Revelation 18. Fallen is Babylon the Great. She has become a dwelling for demons and a hunt for every impure spirit, a hunt for every unclean bird, a hunt for every unclean and detestable animal. For all the nations have drunk the maddening wine of her adulteress. The kings of the earth committed adultery with her, and the merchants of the earth grew rich from her excess. And this is warning against Babylon judgment. So now understand. So when I was reading Jeremiah, that was back in Babylon. And see, one of the things you've been hearing me talk about the Bible, we got to be careful or understand, if you go from Genesis to Revelations, it's not in chronological order. Even the books, in the Old Testament, they're not in order. Each book stands alone. So we got to start learning how to put these books together to really get a good, clear picture of what's happening. So we've been hearing this new world order and all this stuff, what's going on. And, we get scared. But if we believe, it really shouldn't matter what's going on because we serve a God that says, hey, I got you. I'm going to get behind you. I'm going to push you to do what you got to do. Now, remember, you know, you know, Joseph and, Moses, remember when they went to possess the land, they had to go take it over. They had to conquer. Someone had already had it occupied. But in business, you're starting fresh. You don't necessarily have to take anyone out. And one of the things we've talked about is maybe buying a business. It's already existing, that has cash flow, that's working. What do you do, from that point? And I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the only one that heard this, or maybe I wasn't hearing what the pastors or the preachers have been saying and what other Christians were saying. Maybe my brain is just so mush because I've been such a heathen that I just heard what I just wanted to hear. And one of the things is, people always complaining how the world is so bad and, and we wish we were not of it and we can do our own thing and stuff like that. But we go out and just get a job, but we won't start our own business. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a job. That's not what I'm saying. But what do we really complain about in life? Look, we talked about slavery. Slavery's been around since Genesis. Slavery is not new. Now, the rules have changed. How people treat slaves and what the laws and what the rules were of slavery, because back in, you know, um, in Genesis, Exodus, you had the year of the Jubilee, and at that point, slaves, were free. You every Jubilee, if you were enslaved, you got free. Well, we know that the rules change as slavery evolved in other countries and people came over from Africa and different places. It was no year of Jubilee. Now, you get behind the eight ball. We get ready to start a race. I'm running a marathon, if someone's halfway started already, and then you telling me, well, you can run the race now, it's even and fair, but you 13 miles up, and you telling me, hey, well, you just got to catch up. And that's life. We can run and complain about it and not worry and just keep going. But I'm going to read one more thing for you. Excuse me. And here we go. And this is still in Revelation, the book that we hate to look at sometimes. But I want to read this. Revelation 18:11. The merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her because no one buys their cargoes anymore. Cargoes of gold, silver, precious stones, and pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, and scarlet cloth, every sort of citron, wood, and articles of every kind made of ivory, costly wood, bronze, iron, and marble. Cargoes of cinnamon and spice, and of incense, myrrh, and frankincense, of wine, of olive, of fine flour, and wheat, cattle, sheep, horses, and carriages, of human beings and slaves. So these things, these merchants are going to start crying because no one's going to be buying their goods. And if we believe we are the people of God and God has a plan for us, why can't this be for us? And I mean us as Christians to go ahead and take advantage of what's out there and believe that, what, God has me. And if I just follow the principles, I'm going to be okay. And what I kind of want to show you, especially for those who are in business, I want to show this last thing. And we talked about, core values and stuff like that. And I want to show you these core values as it relates to business. And there are 18 that we kind of work from. And there are 9 market drivers and 8 operational drivers. And what we have to understand in business is what makes up these particular drivers and how they affect our business. So one of the things I do in my practice is we go what's called a deep dive in each one of these drivers. So you remember when we were doing financial statements, and I kind of did some trick questions and say, hey, if you had a business doing 2 million, one business doing 3 million, which one would you take? And most people said 3 million. But when I gave you the rest of the information, but the one doing 2 million made, $400,000, but the business doing 3 million made 450,000. You would say, well, I want the other one still because I still want that one because they made more money. But when you look at it as a percentage, the smaller or the lower revenue business actually was more productive. They just got to scale up to get the revenue and start making those profits. Because what happens with the other business, as they start to grow, those profits or margins start to decrease. And I know I'm saying a lot right now, but you just hang with me for a while and it will get clear. But the point I'm making is what makes that $2 million company more desirable than that $3 million company is because these drivers, these 18 drivers, they are in a better place. So you've probably heard before, a company went out of business and say what happened. They grew too fast. Now, if I'm in business to make more money, to get more revenue, how is growth bad? It sounds don't make sense, but it does if your processes and systems are not in place, your core values are not there. And so these core values help you to grow and also help you to maintain and to have scalability in your company so you can grow without having those pains. I mean, you look at, when I was growing up, Kmart was the big store. How can Walmart, which is really there was same discount store, had everything. How is Walmart now? And Kmart is out of business when they were essentially the same. Not selling no different or better or worse products. Yeah, Sam's has their brand, just like, Costco have their brand. But Costco doesn't have the retail like Walmart or quote unquote the Sam's. Kmart didn't have any of that. But I don't know if you guys remember, there was another warehouse, and it just left my brain, and I don't have that note here. But there was another warehouse that was supposedly tied to Kmart. But anyway, Kmart is gone now. Kmart should have blown Walmart out of the water because they started. Walmart wasn't even around when I was growing up. But what Walmart did, or what they understood, were these core values. And that also relates to our life, how we do business, how people see you. And that's important to make sure we understand that we got to build a foundation in business, also in our life. And we told that so many times. The question is, what do we do with it? What do we really do with that information? And that's something that I always ask myself and I ask a client, and they get teed off with me because I'm like, no, we're missing something here. So we just have to understand that, and we're going to hit some more scriptures next week and some other stuff. I'm gonna bring the prophets and revelations together, where it talks about the new world order, the mark of the beast. No, I don't. I'm not going there. Pastor, you're gonna need to come on, just cut me off because I'm not going there. I'm gonna get in trouble on that one. But I'm gonna keep it scriptural and keep my own commentary kind of out of it. But I'm just gonna read it, and then you kind of decide for yourself what it really means. But we really got to get into this word now because it's no joke anymore. And I'm just asking, what does it really take for us to get there? And so we're going to hit this business part real hard these next several weeks. I'm going to dig into these core values. I'm going to relay it on the personal side, so we understand the principle that God has for us as it relates to our finances. It's about to be $1.34 trillion about to get spent. Are you going to claim your piece of that? So I need you to continue to follow our financial series, the Renaissance Fellowship. And I'm telling you, if you're not locked into a church home, Pastor Cheney, I'm telling you, it's bringing it. The Renaissance is opening doors and helping us understand what's available, what God is saying. And I've asked before, I'm going to make a plea again. Plant a seed. Plant a seed with the Renaissance. And he's going to talk to you a little bit more about it. But also, you can follow me at coremoody.podbean.com. I have a Facebook page. I have a Instagram page. And if you go out to the website on my podcast, there are links to other things, other videos, because I can't do a complete session, in this 30 minutes or so. And if you got questions, please feel free to call me so we can get through this. But the world is changing. The world stopped in March of 2020. That's some history book stuff you read or a movie. So I got to tell you this one story. So I'm going to confess I wasn't here Wednesday, but I was doing something for my wife. And one of the things I realized that technology is more than just a computer keyboard. When we do these executive plans for our clients, one of the things we say is, if you're in construction, we say you're not in the construction business, you're in the technology business. Uber is not a transportation company. Uber is a technology company. Amazon, and this guy about to be a trillionaire. He's not in the retail business because he ain't made none of those products. But he's using technology to get those products to us. And the pandemic was just a boom for him. I mean, exponentially. But because he had those core values in place, he didn't choke and say, I'm going out of business. I grew too fast. I never order online or, have people deliver stuff. When the pandemic hit, I turned into an Amazon junkie. I got my own account. And after about 2 weeks, I'm like, Kim, I'm ordering something every day. It's like Christmas every day coming to my door. I had to stop. But what I realized, I was also ordering stuff that I really needed that I never took the time to go get. And it's made my life a little bit easier. So I'm saying that because, I went and we test drove this car. And it was a Tesla, an electric car. And one of the things you hear about electric cars is that, especially when they first came out, is they're slow, they don't do anything or anything like that, right? Just kind of putt-putts. There's some other cars out there, hybrids. They may do 80 miles an hour. They may do 0 to 60 in a day. So electric cars is always like, nah. But what I realized and what I learned was that certain things are different. So I test drove this Tesla. And when I drove it and punched it, the G-forces threw me back in the seat. And it just was like a rocket. I'm telling this story because what we realize is that what we did is we bought technology. We bought technology, not a car. We bought technology. And so, yes, it's transportation, but it's technology. And so there's a lot of things that we think are just normal. It's not. Uber is not a transportation company. It's a technology company. Amazon is a technology company. I'm saying this because as we get forth and start building on this business series and getting our core values together, it's going to be about technology. So I want to thank you for joining me tonight, and I hope this made some sense to you, but we're going to bring it together, and I just enjoyed being here. And Pastor Cheney, I want to thank you and the Renaissance Fellowship, and the job that you've been doing, and it's really special. And I want to thank you, the Renaissance Fellowship and my Renaissance family. Thank you, and see you next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is my sister who is visiting behind us. Please excuse her. She has no social media etiquette. But again, we thank you. She'll get me later because she is the older sister. But thank you so much, Corey D. Moody, for allowing God to use you tonight. We got the scriptures, Jeremiah 32, 8 through 19, Hosea chapter 12. And we have Revelations, the book people try to avoid, but you're going to have to go through sometime, 18, 1, and 11 through on. Ladies and gentlemen, we just thank God for what he is doing and what he is manifesting through the financial series with Corey D. Moody, CPA, Certified Public Accountant, Certified Valuation Analyst. And I implore you tonight, I'm asking you, the Bible says, ask and it shall be given, seek and ye shall find, knock and the door shall be open. I'm asking you, if you so desire to give to our ministry, our movement, and to the masses, please consider joining us, the Renaissance Fellowship, through Givelify. Givelify is an app that you can give, tap, give, done, and type in the Renaissance Fellowship Las Vegas. You can also do it through Cash App, $ the Renaissance LV. Cash App, the $ Renaissance LV. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am D. Edward Cheney, and I'm so privileged to be the founder and pastor of the Renaissance Fellowship. If you so desire to reach out to Corey D. Moody, please, Corey D. Moody at Podbean, Corey Moody at Podbean. He is given that information. We will provide that information for you, but also reach him through Corey D. Moody through all social media platforms. If you so desire to reach out to the Renaissance Fellowship, you may do so Instagram at Vegas Fellowship, Twitter at Vegas Fellowship, YouTube, the Renaissance Fellowship Las Vegas. If you so desire to reach out to us, you can do the Renaissance Fellowship Inc., P.O. Box 336, 921 North Las Vegas, Nevada, 89033. That's P.O. Box 336, 921 North Las Vegas, Nevada, 89033. Join us this Sunday, 9 a.m., in-person worship, Cheyenne High School. God bless you tonight. Let us be in prayer for those who are less fortunate. Take care.